been through a lot of trauma in my life. And when I was 13, I had ovarian cancer and I nearly died from a tumor, very rare case of cancer. A tumor exploded and I almost went septic. And after an emergency exploratory surgery, and they realized that I had cancer, um, they prescribed me a lot of chemo, 18 months worth of preventative chemo. And after about 8 months of that, I was almost dead. And I was redirected into alternative methods of preventing cancer, which equaled food as medicine, sunshine, water, vitamins, herbs, all of those things. And so after 9 months, instead of 18 months, I got off of the chemo. I thought myself out of that hospital before anything. I knew I didn't belong there or that I wasn't supposed to be dying in that hospital. And so that's the first time that I can identify that my mindset really kicked into gear and helped me through a situation.
Hi, it's Tiffany Lorraine Galloway, certified high performance coach with another episode of the Resilient Mother podcast. This month, we're going to be talking about I Can, resilient attitude. And with me today, I have Carrie. Carrie and I met at a growth day dancing on the dance floor. And we've seen each other around and Ultra and other events ever since. And so I think we have the perfect person to talk about having a great attitude here and the places to do that and the tools that help you support that. Carrie, thank you for being here. Please tell us more about you.
Thank you for having me. I am Carrie DeGrandmont. I live in Northern California from the East Coast originally. I am an energy and vitality and mindset coach. I'm certified in high performance and integrative nutrition, and I just help people level up their lives and their health and just find all the good things in life to appreciate. That's what I'm all about.
Sounds like all the things to have the I can attitude by getting all the basics in place, that your health and your mindset are a huge part of that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, that is super important. So I learned it early in life. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. And when I was 13, I had ovarian cancer and I nearly died from a tumor, very rare case of cancer. A tumor exploded and I almost went septic. And after an emergency exploratory surgery, and they realized that I had cancer, they prescribed me a lot of chemo, 18 months worth of preventative chemo. And after about 8 months of that, I was almost dead. And I was redirected into alternative methods of preventing cancer, which equaled food as medicine, sunshine, water, vitamins, herbs, all of those things. And so after 9 months, instead of 18 months, I got off of the chemo. I thought myself out of that hospital before anything. I knew I didn't belong there or that I wasn't supposed to be dying in that hospital. And so that's the first time that I can identify that my mindset really kicked into gear and helped me through a situation. And it's all in my upcoming book. So, but that's really where I identified it. And going forward, I've been through a lot of, drug addiction. I'm 20 years clean now, but I was on some pretty heavy drugs, running the streets pretty hard. I had a major brain trauma injury after flipping over in a car going 120 with no seatbelt several times. And so I don't know how I still have my face or how I can still see or think, but I believe in miracles. And I feel like I've had a lot of them in my life. And mindset and energy and vitality, all of those things are intertwined. So, like I said earlier, mindset comes first because you got to be thinking the right things to make the right things happen. And then putting into place all of the basics that you called them, the proper food, clean water, making sure that you're managing stress and situations and relationships properly instead of just letting everything dictate where you're going, actually having an intention behind what you're doing each day. So all of those things have been really helpful in helping me manage my energy and keeping my vitality up. And so that's what I love to help people do. It's not even what I do. It's who I am.
Talk about resilience.
So
after hearing that, how do you define resilience? Because holy cow.
Yep, just keep going, doing the thing, whatever it is, and figuring it out as I go along, and just not letting the downers bring me down because there's always something that's going to get in the way. There's always something that can cause a problem, but there's always something that's good and better. And so I choose to focus on the best next thing rather than the last bad thing. And so I think that's been big in my resilience.
Do you feel like gratitude's a big part of that practice?
Daily, absolutely. I think it was Dr. Wayne Dyer. I learned from a mentor of mine about when he hits the floor and says, thank you, thank you, thank you. And before that, I had read a book that was more faith focused on just saying thank you and being in gratitude with every single breath. And so I've carried that for years. I'm constantly saying, I'm so grateful to have water when I take a shower. I'm so grateful to have air, to have all the things. And I'm constantly saying, thank you. I believe in a higher power. And I believe that, gratitude really has an impact on what you get back out of life. And so, yeah, it's huge for me.
Well, when you said miracles, it made me think of that because there's the saying that when you decide to start seeing the miracles, you'll start seeing them everywhere. So I really feel like that has to do with mindset too. What you focus on is what you'll attract and what will reveal itself and manifest in your life. And so I definitely agree with that as well, that it starts there. So what drew you to being a high performance coach like me? And how does that work with having a I can do attitude?
Oh boy. So someone gifted me a ticket to one of Brendan Burchard's events down in San Diego about 10 years ago. And I went, and that room and those people and his words all resonated with me immensely. He was putting words to things that I knew was me, like high performance. I was always called a high achiever and a leader and all of those things when I was going through school, but high performance was a whole nother level of that. And so to me, that's just doing your best and just going after what it is that you want to receive back from life. And just not letting things hold you back. And so that's where the high performance, had really kind of resonated with me. I became an integrative nutrition health coach first. I've been doing that for almost a decade. And when I went to that event of Brendan's, I was in a breakout group and people were talking about my coaching. I hadn't had my certificate yet. I was going through a program to get my certificate through IIN. And I had started writing my book and people were hearing my story and they were saying, you don't need the certificate. You need to just start doing this thing. Anyway, Brendan released High Performance Habits. I read it back to back. I went through the book 3 years in a row with a girlfriend of mine. Every month we would meet and cover a different high performance habit. And so the high performance integrated into my health coaching practice. And so going forward, when I was finally able and the time was right, I jumped in and got certified as a high performance coach because I was already implementing a lot of the stuff, but I really wanted the curriculum and really wanted Brendan's insights on it. So yeah, here I am now. And I'm so glad I did that and that I'm doing
a favorite session as a coach. I know I do. Mine's energy. My favorite session with the sessions is energy. Do you have a favorite one?
That's me. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, I think it's underestimated. I think energy is a part of our attitude because it means we're being intentional with our energy. It's not just, oh, I feel this. It's like I get to create what I feel. And then what I choose to feel carries with me. And I'm giving that to others. So I'm responsible for the energy I bring into a room. I'm responsible for the energy I bring into a conversation. And I'm really aware of that as a mom. Like if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And I know you're a mom. You've been through the trenches and your children are older now. So can you give us some wisdom on what you do, particularly for mothers and their children?
Ooh, so it's been a really long time since my kids were little. My youngest is 25. My oldest is 36. I have a 28-year-old in there also. But one thing that I did across the board with my kids was stay present with them all of the time. I always felt that it was super important to look them in the eye, to talk to them like they were just another human. I remember being asked, who are you talking to in there? Devnay or Carlton or Jazz. What? They're babies.
Yeah.
That's like talking to a person.
Yeah.
I
I've gotten
am.
that. Yeah.
So that's how I've always approached it, and always really validated that they were people, and that they understand things even as babies. I feel like they have an innate wisdom and knowledge of things, but they understand energy. We all understand energy whether we realize it or not, and I think that children are really big in that area. So yeah, being present has been my biggest gift that I've been able to give to my children, and see how wonderfully it has reflected back into our lives as they've grown up.
What are some of the practices and tools and strategies that you use to help yourself be present with others and that you were with your kids?
Well, presently, there's a lot of deep breathing exercises that happen, and just being in the moment. Trying to think as far as like tools that I used, it was eye contact was a big one, and touch, and listening, and not allowing other things to distract from the moment. So, which just keeps coming back to being present. I'm trying to think of like tools. I don't know how like you're defining how I would define tools. Those things that I mentioned or strategies that I used to stay present, and they're pretty basic. Just
Yeah.
be where you are,
Yeah.
and don't let outside forces in, and stay connected to whatever you're doing in the moment, or whoever you're talking to, or whatever you're doing in the moment. I think those are the big ones
Yeah.
for
And
me.
it's very intentional, I think, which I think is important part of what we talk about in high performance too, is having an intention for your day, having an intention for the conversation. And if we go into motherhood with the intention of what we're going to be and how we're going to show up, it's easier because you have something to go back to. I said I was going to show up this way. I chose to be this kind of mother, or I'm going to choose to be this kind of mother now. So I think a lot of it
Yes.
comes
Okay.
back to that too.
It's true. And you got me there. So I did go into motherhood very intentional. Um, I gave up my firstborn child for a closed adoption when I was 18 years old. And I had a nervous breakdown after, and I tried to get her back, and I couldn't.
Oh,
And going forward, every moment that I've had with all of my children have been just the world.
yeah.
Because when you lose a child, because
Mhm.
in essence, I lost a child,
Yeah.
you really start to appreciate the things that you have when you lose things. I feel, for me anyway. And just as a happier story to that is that when she was 18 years old, I got a random phone call from a lady down in Bakersfield who connected us,
Oh,
and found
yay.
her and found me, and we exchanged numbers, and I flew across the country, and I was able to meet with her 2 different times, and she made me officially a grandmother about 4 years ago.
Yay.
And our relationship isn't like I would love it to be, but she's alive and she's healthy, and I get to see pictures, and I am forever grateful for
Yeah.
that. So I think that was a big Kickstarter to me really being intentional with the children that I had,
Yeah.
you know, because it's like none of us, and then there's the close brushes with death that I have also really grounded me in the moment, and in a large appreciation of every single thing that happens in life.
Yeah.
Because
Mortality
you never
motivation.
know. Mortality motivation, another thing
Yeah.
Brendan named that
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I know what that is exactly, because you just never know when you're going to die. I know people
Yeah.
say it sounds morbid and all that. That's life, and that's just
Yeah.
how it is.
Yeah.
And I've been too close too many times, so I really appreciate every moment. So
Yeah. God gave you today what he gave it to you for a reason. Make the most of
that's
it.
it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't realize how similar our stories are, because I was birth mom too. So I've got a 21-year-old out there as well. It was an open adoption, but kind of turned to a closed one. And now it's kind of back open, and it's that same thing. But I had the same attitude when I did get to have more children, and was in my second marriage. And it was interesting with that second child because it was bittersweet, because I relished every moment. But when she hit a certain age, when the adoption happened, there was also this, oh, I missed this with that one. I missed
Mm,
this with that one. I missed this with that one. And it really makes you not take it for granted, just as you put it. And I think we do take
definitely.
a lot for granted today. We live in pretty interesting times where we have a lot of technology doing things for us. And I think us as high performers recognize that we still need to push ourselves, that we still need to take care of ourselves, that we need to go a little bit beyond, because we've got the privilege of being able to do more, not just for ourselves, but for others. And so we don't just do it for us, but we know if we're healthy, if we're doing well, we can show up better for our families. We can show up better for those we serve, those that we coach, and we can help everyone elevate themselves to a higher level of living because we have that gift available to us. We're not out there trying to find shelter and find food and like the very basic things. And today is more of a fight for our minds and our mindset and our health more than ever before, because we have this ability to just stay and be in front of a screen the whole time and do work that way and be in one place. And our bodies were not designed that way at all. Can you speak to that, not just for you, but like raising your kids today? What advice would you give to give them I can do attitude? Because we have kids today that aren't very resilient, that are also feeling very privileged, that are not sure how they fit in the world the way that it's evolving today. I have kids that are like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, what are the jobs going to be when I grow up? I don't know right now. And I had that conversation with some college kids trying to figure out what they're going to major in right now. So I'm curious, from your point of view, with vitality, with health, with mindset, how do we help this next generation, and how do we help mothers?
Well, I think you hit it right on the head, talking about our health and how it affects the people around us. And I think that it needs to start there, is that the food, the food is so huge. People need to be paying attention to what they're buying and to what they're putting into their mouths and what they're feeding their children. I think that's like the baseline for everything, because there's so much going on with the food and the medical industry, and our children are so vulnerable and they're so susceptible to things. So a little bit of something to us we might not feel it so much, but to children, they can feel it more. Speaking on chemicals, and a lot of chemicals in the food, a lot of pesticides in the air, those kinds of things. So I think that is number one and huge. Is making sure that there's a good, healthy diet going on that is not chemical laden and full of dyes and weird things that you can't pronounce. You know, if you can't pronounce what's on the label, your body probably can't process it. And that goes double or triple for children.
And I tell that to my kids too. I say that if it is not from nature, it doesn't know how to break down at a cellular level in your body. If it was made by man, it wasn't made for your body in a lot of cases, and that helps them. But I think too, being a single mom and going through some financial tough times, there are times I didn't always have the food I wanted available to my kids, but I always made the better choice. Because I think some people hear that and go, well, I can't afford to do all organic, or I can't afford. It's not that much to grow a few tomatoes and a plant out on your porch. Now, have I done that? I don't have a green thumb, but I've tried, honestly. I've tried the garden. There are a few like indoor gardens, and they're more popular now. But a few vegetables is not as much as some processed food. Like, honestly,
that's exactly. And
you
so
either invest in your health, in your food, or you're going to pay for it with medical bills. So you're just choosing which hard to get the good food, or hard to be unhealthy and pay the medical bills.
It's true, and it kills me because actually vegetables don't cost that much. When vegetables are not that much money, and we should mostly be eating vegetables and feeding fruits and vegetables to our children. I mean, that's just that's a no-brainer for me, but not for everybody out there. And you'll get fuller on, fiber than you will on some processed food that's going to just make you hungrier in a little while. And then, I know people get caught up in this vicious cycle, and it's really hard, but just going for any whole foods, even if they're not organic, just going for whole foods and stuff from the produce department is just so much better. The other part of that is making sure that the kids are hydrated with water. That is huge.
So good water. People. I'm glad you said good water, because there's some not good water out there.
It's true. Okay. But even worse than that, or any kind of sodas or even juice is so high in sugar, and these energy drinks and all these things. We all need to be drinking more water. That's just across the board. So, I'm really big on what you're putting into your body and into your mind. That's what you're going to get out of your body and your mind, and so in turn your life. So when you're asking me, what are the things that we need to pay attention to? Well, there's food, and then there's water, and then there's the part where we need to make sure that I think as parents, it falls on us, just like the food falls on us, because they're going to mostly eat what's in your house and
Mhm.
they're mostly going to drink what you provide. Even though I know they go out places and they get other things, but you want the bulk of it to be, it's your
Yeah,
choice, right? As a
exactly.
mother, if you're doing the shopping. And so there's those things. And then, you mentioned the screen time. Now,
Mm.
I just escaped the whole cell phone in the hand thing. I remember we got our son a cell phone. He was younger than I liked, um, but he wasn't like a little kid. And I see a lot of little kids getting cell phones and just on a screen everywhere they go. And I think that beyond timing when they're able to be on it. And I understand it being a great babysitter. I really do. I get it. I see it. I have people in my family. I understand it, but it is just not the right choice
No.
to use as a babysitter or as a placeholder to keep your kids occupied,
Yeah.
not for long periods of time anyway. So I held off as long as I could, which was a long time before any TVs got into any bedrooms. My kids were well into their teenage years before any TV got into a bedroom or a computer. And I'm so glad that I did, because I needed to limit the input,
Yeah.
because there's still too much life and those brains were growing. And I was very
Yeah.
concerned that I didn't want them growing on a screen. Now, my sons are computer whizzes, and my daughter is, she's very competent on a computer, but I know it's harder with the younger kids now. But I would just suggest that we pull back from using it as a babysitter or a placeholder, and just allow a certain amount each day, and that's it. And if you have kids who are toddlers who are small enough, I wouldn't even introduce that as an
Mm.
option.
No.
It would be the big trick if you can do that. I know so many homeschooling moms, and their kids are not on screen all the time. They are literally doing things, like
Yeah.
learning things, and their brains are sponges. And we need to be inputting good stuff so that they end up being good people who know things and know how to do things.
Yeah.
Because you can watch a video all day long on how to wash a car, but you never will know how that big old sponge feels in your hand, or how that,
Yeah.
that water pressure and that hose is going to, those kind of things. Like, we need hands-on experience so that people can learn to grow into
Yeah.
people and not be so not resilient. Because if you're living your life on a screen all the time, that is not going to contribute to any kind of resilience.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Well, it's not
You got to be
reality.
hands-on.
It's really not reality in a lot
Right.
of ways, because reality involves work. It involves the physical doing. It involves practice. You're not just going to be like, I have a sister who auditioned to be a cheerleader, or I guess tried out, not audition's the wrong word. And she had never done any of the work leading up to it, and thought within 1 week she could get splits, do some push-ups, and be a cheerleader. No offense to my sister, I love her, but it doesn't work that way. But that's what she's kind of grown up with, the mentality of. And so she didn't understand why that didn't work, because me, big sister, I was a cheerleader, but I had also been in gymnastics for 8 years. Like, I had prepared for that thing. And that's the thing that is frustrating for me to watch, is my kids thinking that if they don't do something well within the first like 2 or 3 times, because they see somebody else online doing it super well, it's like, you didn't see all the work. They don't give you the videos of all the hours of practice and all the work. They give you the final product online. It's the show. It's the hurrah part. And you can have that too, but you have to go do all of the work behind it too. And something I just discovered too is you got to be really careful that things are set up correctly. I've had to re-inform myself on making sure that I have those child checks in place. So I had one child who was smart enough to figure out how to get around them. And I had a cell phone company actually set up my daughter's cell phone wrong and made her the primary, and had it on adult settings, not teen settings. And I just recently discovered, after some incidences, like, this doesn't add up. I'm the primary. Why is she getting the text for me to change and do, like, it was just, and then, so double check your accounts and make sure that they're
Definitely, I agree.
properly. So you can't be too careful there at all. And so I'm even just factory reset one, because I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, done. No, if this isn't going to be safe, this isn't going to do what I'm going to do. We're done. We're done with this device. So, But
Yeah.
I think
No
too,
easy
it is a
task.
part of their world. So it's hard because
Yes.
like, for me, my kids didn't have screens until COVID. They did not have devices. Now it's part of school. So now we have them.
Right.
And then
Right.
I'm a single parent now versus I was married. So making those structured activities and being available for them looks different than it does now. So, but I have older and I have younger. So that plays another thing too of what keeps who busy with what. And I definitely love to have more activities that they're in. I think it is good to have them in sports. It's good to have them work with the team. It's good to have them in, if they're good at science, in something like that, because that steps outside of the screens and actually gets them implementing and gets them to socialize and to be with other kids. And I say that too, being someone who is homeschooled, private schooled, and public schooled. I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly of all three. And it comes
Mhm.
down to what does that child need? But
Yes.
certainly when our homes are our homes, they're our environment, we should be able to control what's coming in and out as much as we possibly can. And there are tools out there in place, and you're not being too harsh. You're not being too restrictive if you're a parent that wants to make sure you know what's going in between these two ears as they're developing. Their brains don't develop till they're 25. I mean, I could definitely say I wasn't completely with it even at 21. I can look back and
Yeah.
go, yeah, I wasn't quite there yet. So
Too.
I look at some
So
decisions. I'm like,
true.
yeah, I was not in my right mind yet.
Yeah.
If you're ever in your
Exactly.
right
I
mind.
love
But
that.
but
It's true.
it's good to hear that from somebody that, you've overcome all these things. So you can really speak to it. You're not just saying it, you've lived it, you've applied these principles, you've done these things. So you can really validate what you're saying. So for any mom who is struggling or has a child who's struggling or has gone through something, you know that you can do these basic things. It's not something big and grand. It's not buying them something big or the big school that they get into. It's these simple little daily practices and present
Yeah.
moments with them that have the most impact. And we can all do that.
Yep.
It's totally doable. And that's where we can have the I can do attitude, because we're creating our reality, especially today. It's in your hands. You have a wealth of information at your fingers. If you don't know something, go figure it out. Or if you don't know what to do for your kid, go find someone who can help you or mentor you or figure it out. Like, there's really no excuse.
I agree. It's so
So
true. It's so true. Whatever it is, it can be done. So the
yeah,
whole I can do it attitude is a great thing to instill into your children. Just constantly letting them know that they are so capable, that whatever it is, they can do it. That was instilled in me when I was young. And that is a huge part of why I am the way I am. My parents made me believe that I could do whatever it is that I was trying to do in the moment, in the future. And I carried that through my life. I've always been very confident because of that. And I know whatever it is, I can either do it or figure out how. Okay. So another thing Brendan probably spoke on too. And I went, oh, hey, that's true.
yeah,
I know. Because, yeah, well, we don't know how to do it. We can figure it out. So I think instilling that into your children over and over and making sure that there's books,
books,
that they're
books.
able to go to
Yes.
the library and know what the library is and have a library card and get books from the library and go, spend time reading the books. I think that's a big part of
Yeah.
raising
Even from
your
a very
kids.
young age, like
Yes.
boom, read to them.
No, absolutely. I mean, just, instilling that love of learning and
Yes.
learning something new every day is huge. So,
Yeah, and keeping the curiosity going. I mean, that's the thing with kids and why they're little geniuses. They're willing to learn. They're excited to learn. They love new things. And if we can keep that a part of their life, always moving forward, even
yes.
and just recognizing the setbacks are just a step towards the new thing, or just, well, that didn't work. What might work instead? And giving them the room to figure some things out, because they're not going to do it the same way you do it. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning is like, they're not going to do it the way I do it. What works for me does not work for them in all cases. I can give them some ideas. I can set an example, but they're still going to have to find their own way with where they're meant to go. I'm the support. I'm the safe space. I'm the love hub for, I guess, terms to
And you
use.
want that. You want them to be their own unique selves.
Yes.
That's for sure. My kids are there. Everybody had their own way of learning, their own way of doing things. They still do. And I just, that's huge. Exactly what you said. I definitely lived into that as a mother with my children, and it shows in who they are and how they are. And so I'm glad I was able to realize that. And as far as the curiosity thing goes, I'm well into my 50s and I am so curious and I love to learn. And that is such a great thing that you said, to just foster that curiosity and just keep it going. Why would we ever want to lose that? And if we do, I think we should all strive for getting it back into our lives and have that childlike mentality, because that's where a lot of my joy and just everything comes from. Everything's like new and beautiful, and like the world is, there's so much good, and yeah, and I want to learn more about it, whatever it is. So
Absolutely. Well, I've loved this conversation. I hope it served you well, audience, that some tip, trick, or something you can relate to in here. That's what we're all about, is the Resilient Mother podcast, being inclusive and to giving you tools and strategies to be the resilient mother you've always wanted to be and to raise the next resilient generation. Carrie, if someone wants to come and work with you on these things and learn more of your strategies, or just have you cheer them on with your wonderful positive attitude, where can they find you?
Well, I'm building my new website because I got rid of my other one. So it's going to be my first and last name.com. So Carrie DeGrandmont.com. And I'm going to go ahead and put my work phone number out there. It is 925-204-7999. And that's where I take texts and I communicate with people, and we can go from there. Those are the two easiest ways.
Can you tell us any more about your book yet?
So I'm very excited about my book. My book is going to be it's a memoir, and it's a self-teaching memoir, or self-help, or however, a teaching memoir would be the right way to say it. And it is me explaining many situations, some of which I touched on here, and what I did in the moment to get through them, and how faith kind of played into it, and how love and valuing people and myself all brought me to a place of transformation as a grown woman. So I just went through a lot, and I know that I didn't just go through the things I went through to tell a story. I did it to help other people. And at some point in my 40s, I realized that. So I'm finally coming out with this book, and so I hope that people are interested in that, because it's my life's work, and it was kind of these things happened to me for somebody else, not for me. And I lived through them so that I could help somebody else with them. So I'm so excited about it.
I'm excited for you. It's great when we get to make our mess our message, and we get to serve people with what we've learned and give them the wisdom and help them not struggle as long as we did. Get there faster, find the joy faster, find that I can do attitude faster, so they can start implementing it right away today to make that change, to make that transformation that they're looking for. Definitely. All right, audience. Carrie, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. It's good to see you again. And to have you as a guest. And audience, thank you. I believe in you, believe in yourself. God bless. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Resilient Mother podcast.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe so we can share this message. We are a worldwide podcast with guests all around the world, and we want to continue to grow this community. You can find us on socials. You could also be a guest. Look for that link below if you'd be interested in being a guest on the podcast. If you know a sponsor or would like to be a sponsor, please reach out to me or Catherine as well.
Sure. We want you all on this journey. We want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. We want to gain strength from each other, because together we're stronger. And to never forget the blessing of being a mother and what we're creating. We're creating the future every single day of our lives. So get on this train with us and let's do this thing, moms.
I believe in you. Believe in yourself. God bless. And we'll see you around. Take care.